So I've been kind of going on and on the internet about how you know, I haven't experienced any overheating issues or anything like that. But it finally happened to me. Finally. This thing overheated. Okay, let me walk you through what happened. So I got hit up by my guy Chuck. He wanted me to help him film some modules for a online course from a local furniture company, right? So I was like, cool. He was like, yo, bring your A7S3 and bring your A7 IV. I'll rent it, and I'm going to use my FX3 and also my A7 IV. Fine, cool. We're gonna run 4 cameras. We had an overhead camera, and we had 3 different looks on the floor on sticks. So about 10 minutes or so into filming, I got the overheat warning. Now we're shooting in 4K 24 frames a second. We're also shooting in the HS codec. Now my camera does have the overheat set to high, the warning set to high, and 10 minutes into filming, I get the warning, and I'm freaking out. We are totally freaking out. We don't know what's going on, so we keep recording to see how long it was last. At first I thought it was kind of a fluke. So what ended up happening was the camera did in fact stop. I think it made it about 30 minutes, and it just completely shut down and said it needs to cool off. So I let it cool off for a couple minutes, and I turned it back on, and the overheat warning was gone. So I figured, okay, well, maybe there was like a fluke or something, but then about 5 more minutes later, it came back. I went through a list of things. It probably overheated maybe about 7 or 8 times. And so I want to go through everything that I did to try to get through this issue of the overheating. And I don't know what actually worked. So I took some notes. So here's a list of everything that I did after. I did have the display open, so that was one of the initial things. I had the display open. So we were monitoring the A7 IV with an external monitor. So what we ended up doing was making sure that the HDMI output was set to 1080p and not 4K. It was initially set at 4K, so we changed it to 1080. Still got the overheat issues. Then we unplugged the external monitor, thinking that maybe it's the signal going across. Still overheated. After that, I took my A7S3 off of its rig, and I rigged up the A7 IV. Dummy battery, V-mount. 15 minutes, overheat light comes back on. The next thing I did, I turned the airplane mode on. That didn't help, it's still overheated. Next thing I did was I turned down the screen brightness. I turned it all the way down, I think to like 2, in the -2 or whatever, and I could barely see it, and it's still overheated. The next thing I did was open the battery door and the SD card slot, and I didn't get any more overheats after that. I'm not 100% sure what's going on with it, because the other A7 IV we had on set never overheated, not once. I don't know if it was a settings issue with my camera or if the other A7 IV just was a super camera, but mine overheated constantly. What I plan on doing is doing a factory reset on it and starting from scratch and seeing what I can do to duplicate this. So the FX3 we had on set and the A7S3 never overheated at all. No issues out of either one of those. The other A7 IV, no issue out of that, and that screen was open. The temp was set to high. The battery was internal with a trickle charge on the USB-C. It also had the screen brightness turned up, and it was on the top down. I'm not 100% sure what's going on, but I'm going to test it out and then I'll come back. But I just wanted to go down the list of the things that I did, and maybe if you had these problems, maybe, you know, if you have any tips or tricks or anything, maybe you can shoot them to me in the comments and I can try them out. But this is what happened with my A7 IV. I still love the camera because it's a great B camera to my A7S III, but if this problem persists, then I might end up returning it and getting another A7S III, if not an FX3. Also, here's a behind the scenes look at the set that we're using. You know, it's open floor space. It's not like the lights are causing a lot of issues. They're not hot at all. They have big heat sinks on them. So I'm really confused about why it overheated like this. But I will say that once I got all of the settings dialed in, I made all those changes, it ran for another 45 minutes to an hour with no overheats. So it's definitely something in the settings that I had on at the time that caused this. So I'm not going to sit here and say the A7 IV just overheats in every situation, because that's not true. It had to be a setting, but I just don't know what setting it actually was. I want to say it's a combination of all those things, but I don't know for sure. So I do plan on running some tests to pinpoint it. So just stay tuned, stay with me, be patient as I make these tests, and hopefully if I figure something out, maybe it can help you. And if you know something that I don't know, shoot it to me and we can figure this out together. But that's all I got. I want to make this video short. Peace.